A literal bloodbath. Top 3 photos with disturbing backstories. From our boy, MrBallen. Oh my god. Let's flipping go. Oh my god. 888. Yo, it's a sign, chat. It's a sign. Somebody look up what 888 means. There you go. There's your angel number for the day. No! Our sponsor, BetterHelp. Anyways, any YouTube frogs hanging out? What's good? My name's Chris. Hope you enjoy your stay. If you do, feel free to drop a like and a sub. It would mean a lot. Also, if you want to watch the original video, it'll be the first link in the bio or in the description. Second link will be my Twitch channel. Would love to have you guys come through and hang out sometime. Watch some videos with us, all that fun jazz. But don't feel like you got to. Sorry in advance for any audio mishaps. I'm not wearing headphones. Usually I can hear the audio and how high or low it is. I'm not right now because I have an ear infection. So I apologize. Before we get into, let me actually here, chat. I'll catch up with you guys in a momento.
Today, I'm going to share 3 progressively more disturbing stories, and at the end of each of them, I will share the photo that is famously associated with that story. But before we get into those stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So, if that's of interest to you, please offer to give the like button acupuncture, but then after you put in all the needles in their back and you stick the moxa to the end of the needles and you light those, just leave. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's stories.
Oh wait, hold on, dude. Sorry, I gotta hit the mute on this because I think this is like an audio whatever song. So whenever this is in one of my videos, it gets copyright struck. So we should get another top tech going soon. Oh, yo, you're right. The worst part is it apply for model again. I can't use them as a reference because yeah, absolutely. It says angel number 8 is often associated with abundant success. Oh, maybe I'll join OTK. My man. Sorry, you 2 frogs. Purple, I'm glad you're happy, Purple, tonight. A crush on a cruise? Uh-oh.
Just after 6 p.m. on December 27th, 2015, a woman named Sarah Robinson was getting ready inside of her cabin on the 7th floor of a massive cruise ship. She and her boyfriend were going to dinner that night with Sarah's parents in one of the restaurants on board the ship. And in fact, this entire trip, this whole vacation, was actually a big gift from Sarah's parents to Sarah and her boyfriend. And so far, the trip had been totally amazing. I mean, all 4 of them, Sarah, her boyfriend, and Sarah's parents, had got to go swimming and drink great drinks and have great food, and it was just like a total dream. But now they only had 1 night left tonight, and they wanted to make the most of it. And their plan was to go to the big buffet that the ship offered and just totally indulge on the amazing food and just have some laughs, share stories.
Okay, but the real question is, did they have sushi? Okay? If I'm going to a buffet, do they got sushi or what, bro? What you got? And is it only one kind of sushi or you got a couple different kinds, bro? That's why I shout out Happy Garden. Best buffet I've ever been to. They got like 7 different kinds of sushi there, bro. I'm like, yo, bro, I get a platter of sushi at a Chinese restaurant. It's like $30. I can go here and 2 people can eat for like $35. And I can get a shit ton of sushi. You know what I'm saying? Buffet sushi is why you get sick. Are you trying to give me anxiety right now?
And then the next day, they'd wake up in the Florida port that they left from, and the trip would be over. But for now, they had this 1 dinner left. And so, after Sarah and her boyfriend were all ready, they left their cabin and they met Sarah's parents out in the hallway, and then Sarah led the way towards the stairwell that would bring them up to the 10th floor where the restaurant was that they were going to. Once they reached the 10th floor, Sarah could see right in front of her the entrance to this restaurant. And so she, her boyfriend, and her parents, all behind her, began walking towards the restaurant. And to get there, they would have to walk past this sort of lobby right in front of the restaurant, where there was this elevator bank that would go down to the lobby and all the other floors. And so, you know, Sarah and her family, they walked past these elevators, and as they did, Sarah began to hear what sounded like rain hitting the outside of the ship. But that didn't make any sense because that whole day the weather had been beautiful and clear, and Sarah, when she heard this sound, she instinctively kind of looked around the corner out one of the windows, and she looked out into the night, and it was still clear and beautiful out, so this could not be rain. And so Sarah, she turned around and she looked at her boyfriend and her parents with a sort of quizzical look, being like, do you hear this? Like, what is that sound? And they clearly had heard it too and were looking back at her like, I don't know. But before they could even start to discuss whatever this was...
Dude, MrBallen is he's such a good storyteller, bro. Oh my god. Oh my god. I know literally every time we watch a MrBallen video I say this, but like, bro, he's so good at it. He's got me so compelled. I'm like, yo, what do you mean? There was rain sound and it was clear out? Are you serious? What was going on there, MrBallen? And then I'm like, dude, this guy's crazy with it. This guy's crazy with it. Oh, sorry. You are fine, by the way. I'm totally messing with you with the sushi stuff. By the way, I would say for modding in the future, don't feel like you have to like apply to be mod, right? Everyone that's been a mod in this chat has never like applied to be mod. I've just been like, oh yeah, you're chill. Like overall, we have like a somewhat similar worldview, and I know you'll like be responsible with this chat, and you're mature. I'm gonna give you mod. You know, so I would say that's probably how most modding works, unless you are trying to get like paid to mod by like a really big streamer. So you know, don't feel like you gotta stress about it or have like, it's not like a job interview, at least not for most modding opportunities. I agree, Sarah. I also agree with Purple. You don't have to apologize. Talking about random shit is the point of this chat.
A woman who they didn't know, who was standing near these elevators as well, began to scream. It would turn out just a few minutes before this woman began to scream, the cruise ship's chief electrician, 66-year-old Jose Sandoval Opazo, had begun doing routine maintenance on the elevators that were located a few floors below the 10th floor, but still within that same elevator bank that could bring you up to the 10th floor where that restaurant was. And while Jose was performing this very routine and quick maintenance on the elevator, something strange happened. But to understand why this happened, you need to understand a little bit about Jose and the other electricians on board this cruise ship. So there was oftentimes a lot of very quick and easy maintenance that would need to get done on these elevators, which would involve going into the elevator shaft to do it. But again, these are very short bursts, in and out, you know, very easy to do. All the electricians know how to do it. And
No, don't tell me. Don't flippin' tell me that the rain noise that they heard was like somebody's blood. Nah. A literal bloodbath. Oh, no. No. Chat, do we think that's what happened? Somebody got squished by the elevator and the blood is like dripping down. It sounds like rain almost hitting, like drizzling down, like. Oh my god, bro. Also, chat and YouTube frogs. Do you guys have a fear of elevators? I still low-key have a fear of one. I used to be like really anxious when it came to elevators, but I still sometimes like whenever I'm on an elevator, I like hold on to the railing like super hard because I'm like anxious.
And the procedure was to actually fully shut down that elevator like completely and then go inside and do the maintenance and then go through the process of starting the elevator all over again. But that was so disruptive to the flow of traffic on the ship each day, and it was just kind of a hassle. And so Jose and the other electricians had come up with this sort of workaround that didn't require them to shut down the...
Yo, the fact that you guys are like, yeah, I have a fear of escalators. Bro, I don't know what it is. I don't know what happened in my brain. I don't know what, like, messed with my brain, like, the chemicals on my brain. I used to have a horrible fear of escalators. Now they don't bother me as much. I think it's because, like, I don't know. Maybe it's like I'm like, okay, yeah, if I fall down this motherfucker, it's gonna be fine. I don't know why now. I don't know if it's because I'm like older or whatever. I'm like, it's fine. I'll live. But yeah, dude, back in the day, I used to be horrified. I also used to be terrified of like big stairs as well because I was afraid of heights. For many years, IDK shit anymore. It used to be where everyone had to apply just so they knew who the people they were giving the modding power to. Being a mod to me is like being a glorified hall monitor. I get why people took it so seriously back then. Yeah, I don't know. I personally never took it that serious, which might be part of my problem on why we've had some like, you know, not so poggers mods in the past. But I think most people, you just like become close with a streamer and then they're like, yo, do you want to be mod? Like, at least that's how I've seen it turn out or like play out and how it's played out in my life. Listen, I'll take the stairs. Always the stairs. I don't care if it's 20 flights. I don't give a fuck. I will be taking the stairs. It's real. 5'1", chubby / round. If I fall, I'm tumbling. Nah, you'll be fine. You'll catch yourself, dude. Now, what freaks me out is being on like the nosebleeds of a stadium. Oh my god, thinking about like especially like a hockey stadium, thinking about like tripping and then like and then just ew. When I was so mentally trying to myself, I'd take the elevator though, because oh my gosh, that is a wild way to fucking yeah. I took the elevator, hoping that it would.
The elevator, because again,
Yo, what's up, Ben Pawnee? Do you remember Toy to Life games? Are you talking about like the games where you'd have the little figure and you put them in the little portal?
that was just a huge pain, and they didn't want to do it. And so what they would do is they would wait until the elevator car within the shaft they needed to do maintenance on was at some other level, like on floor 2, and they would go into the elevator on like floor 8 and then quickly do the maintenance on the inside of the shaft or whatever it is they had to do. Or sometimes they would actually have to do repairs on the elevator car itself, you know, in which case they would just kind of go in real quick, do the repairs, get out again. But all of it was predicated on just kind of knowing where the elevator car was in the shaft and being really quick.
In the what?
You know, in and out. And so Jose and the other electricians had done this many times and there was no issues. But on this day, Jose, he got into the elevator shaft to make these simple repairs. And so he actually was standing inside of the shaft on top of the elevator car that was down, you know, a few levels down from 10. And he began making these repairs. And suddenly the car lurched into action because a guest unknowingly had walked into the elevator car and pressed floor 10. And so Jose is on this elevator car that starts moving, and before he can even figure out what's going on, the little opening that he used, the kind of service entrance into the shaft, had been covered up by the elevator car. And so his exit was now gone, and he was now relatively slowly moving up the shaft. Now, Jose would have no idea when this car was going to stop, but if it went to the top, he'd get crushed, and he knew it. And so in kind of a moment of panic, Jose attempted to step to the side to like somehow go between the wall and the elevator. It was like he had nowhere to go and he knew it and he just took that path. But there was like an inch of space between the wall and the car.
Oh.
And so the second he did that, the car kept going and it sucked him down into that space and just destroyed him. And so by the time this elevator car reached its destination, the 10th floor, and that guest got off the elevator car, by this point, Jose's body had been totally destroyed, and all of his blood was dripping down the elevator.
I flippin' knew it! Don't they have a hatch? Don't they have a flippin' hatch on the top of the elevator that you can climb into, though? Or is that only like in movies? And, you know... Yeah, I thought I thought they were supposed to have a little, at least a little space above it. That's crazy. Yeah, see, I would not risk my life for that. Motherfuckers can take the stairs. I'm shutting down the elevator. Yeah, dude, no way. Elevators are supposed to have a hatch and space above the elevator no matter how far it goes up so it doesn't do this. Yeah, I Googled it. And it said above the elevator car is an emergency escape hatch, which remains bolted shut, accessible only from the outside. Which bolted shut is wild. Yeah. I think they have a hatch now on top of it to make sure like shit like this doesn't happen. Yeah, I wonder if that is literally how or like why it's like probably like mandated now is because of this story maybe. Who knows? We'll see. I'm sure MrBallen will tell us.
Elevator shaft splattering into the walls and hitting the ground, and it sounded like rain hitting the outside of the ship. And so that's what Sarah and her family were hearing. And then the reason that woman started screaming is she was the first one who turned and saw all this blood coming down the front of the elevator.
Hey, Mr. Balls, I'm eating. Oh, so It is just cherry juice. We didn't need an IRL photo. Real photo of the elevator. Damn, bro, what you got, an iPhone 3?
Doors. Medics would arrive quickly on the scene, but there was nothing they could do. Jose was deceased.
Yeah, bro. It's like, yeah, he's gone. He's cooked. Bro, is this not going to get you in trouble?
Help for
We'll see. Sorry. We don't fuck with better health. Help. Love MrBallen. There's just so much shady shit in the back part of their business that I'm not rocking with that. AK stealing your info and all that fun jazz that BetterHelp be doing. Allegedly.
At around 2 p.m. on September 24th, 2017, a 17-year-old college student named Sanjay climbed up onto this boulder that was right off to the side of this hiking trail that he was on. Sanjay was on a day trip with about 20 of his friends from college, and they were in this part of southern India that was really famous for its long, winding trail.
You know, when MrBallen said, or like titled the thing, or his editor, whoever, like, cruise crush, I was like, oh, somebody had a crush on a cruise and they were so, like, crazy that they killed their crush. That's what I was thinking. Just not thinking that. Anyway, sorry, let me back this up a little bit since I was yapping.
College, and they were in this part of southern India that was really famous for its long, winding trails and all these boulders that kind of sat off to the side of the trails. And then at the end of these trails that are in this part of India is this beautiful ancient Hindu temple that a lot of people will go and take pictures in front of and go inside of. And so that was where Sanjay and his friends were ultimately headed, was this temple. And from the boulder that Sanjay had just climbed up on, he looked up the trail, and from his view now, which was now slightly higher, he could actually see just barely the top of this temple. And so he was really excited about going to see it, and he couldn't believe how close they were. But as he was standing on this boulder, staring at the top of the temple, he also realized that kind of off to the side of the temple, basically right next to it, was this beautiful pool of water with a big wall around it and cement steps leading into it. I mean, it kind of looked like a swimming pool. And so because Sanjay and his friends had been hiking all day to this point, and it was really hot out,
Dude, sweaty.
Sanjay really liked the idea of going swimming. And so he actually jumped off the boulder and just started running towards the temple and this pool. And he was yelling to his friends as he did, like, hey, I'm going to go swimming. And so he ran, not to the temple, but to this random pool of water that...
All right, guys, predictions. What do we think is about to happen? What do we think is about to happen here? My early prediction... Man, I don't know. I don't even know. I want to say there's like a creature in it. It's like 16 feet deep and he drowns. Maybe? Do we think maybe his friends just, like, didn't pay attention to him and then he just, like... Or do we think there's some sort of, like, suction that pulls him down or something? There's some sort of pool at the bottom of it that sucks it down. Or maybe it's actually... Wait, no, that kid's putting their hands in it. The kid's putting their hands in it really makes me think that, like, I don't know, nothing bad is gonna happen. Like, it can't be that bad. Like, there's not, like, creatures in the water. I was going to say, like, there's, like, a crocodile or something. Like, I don't know. You know? Something like that. Big snake is in there. But the fact that there's literally children putting their hands in the water, or the, you know, acid thing goes out the water. A vacuum that keeps it clean because it's, like, prayer water and he gets sucked down. See, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. But also, like, you don't see any, like, motion in the water there. So, I don't know, dude. Maybe it's like a religion. Wait, where? I wasn't paying attention. Sorry, I zoned out there for a second when he was talking about exactly where this was. Or I think I was yapping. Yeah, I don't know. I think vacuum makes the most sense, but I don't see it, like, any movement in the water. But maybe, you know, obviously he didn't either, so maybe that's the thing.
That was next to it, and he got to the steps, and he immediately took off his shirt, and he pulled his phone out of his pocket, and he put it on the steps, and then he walked his way into the water.
Ooh, a brainy amoeba goes up his pee hole. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it is, like, definitely religious. It's a religious space of some kind, you know.
And turned around, hoping to see his friends coming after him. And sure enough, all of his friends were smiling and laughing and running after him, ripping their shirts off, putting their phones down, and jumping in too. And so pretty soon, this very quiet, peaceful pool next to this temple was packed full of very rowdy and crazy college kids.
Do we think that there is some sort of, like, I don't know, tribe of people that are gonna get super pissed. Just his ass.
Now, to be clear, this pool of water was not intended to be a swimming area.
Yeah.
It was dug about 300 years earlier for this temple, and many people began to view this pool of water as sacred because they believed it could cure diseases.
Oh.
And so what Sanjay and his friends were doing was totally taboo and not allowed. But I can promise you, Sanjay and his friends did not care. They were having a great time. And in fact, Sanjay was having such a great time that when he turned around and looked back up the steps they'd all charged in on, he saw one of his friends, whose name was Vishwas, was standing up out of the water reading what looked like a plaque about this pool of water.
Vishwas hitting the reading the plaque that's like, you will be stabbed if you will be executed at guillotine if you enter this pool of water unannounced. Bro's hitting the
And so
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to double pause.
Sanjay hated the idea of one of their buddies not getting to experience this fun. And so Sanjay, a little out of pocket, yelled out to
Yeah, same, sorry. I wouldn't, like, if I see this by the temple, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, swimming pool. I'm gonna be like, nah, I don't know, dude.
Vishwas, like, hey, stop reading that and get in the water. Let's go. What are you doing? And Vishwas was obviously kind of embarrassed to be called out so publicly in front of the, 19 other kids that were there. They're all looking up at him expectantly now, like, yeah, get in here, man. And Vishwas, he's like, okay, fine. And so he took off his shirt, put his phone down as well, and he got in the water with all of them. And very shortly after he did,
Vishwas is cooked, bruh. I know I'm botching his name. He's cooked. He's done. Yeah, that guy's dying. That's the one that's gonna die.
that, Sanjay kind of forgot about him and decided, hey, this would be a great time to take a photo of everybody here, memorialize this amazing trip. And so Sanjay, he waded over to the steps, he grabbed his phone, he came back towards the group, and he's looking at this big rowdy crowd of his friends who were totally not paying attention to him. And he's saying, hey guys, come over here. I want to take your photo, gather up, I'll take a photo of all of us. And so it took a couple of minutes, but eventually, all these kids got in frame, and Sanjay, he held the phone out, made sure everybody was there, and they all smiled, and he took a picture. And then after he took the picture, Sanjay put his phone back on the steps and returned to just splashing and goofing around with his friends. About an hour later, Sanjay and his friends had left the pool and were now in the temple and were just walking around exploring. But eventually, Sanjay just got tired of looking inside the temple. It was not very interesting to him. And so he eventually just went outside again and sat down on this low wall that was right outside the temple. And because he knew his friends would not be done for at least, 15 or 20 minutes or so, he just pulled out his phone and began kind of scrolling through social media and, doing what we all do on our phones. But eventually, Sanjay opened up his photo album to look at all the photos he had taken during the hike in, and then also that picture in the pool, and then also some pictures he took inside of the temple. And so he pulls up his pictures and just kind of starts scrolling through them, and he eventually reaches the photo that he took.
See, bro, this is the thing about MrBallen, bro. Here's the thing about MrBallen. You don't know who in this story. This is another amazing part of his storytelling. Axe, what's up, homie? Hit the Benjamin? Nah, I probably shouldn't yet. In the back, he gonna be floating? Nah, dude's gonna look at the photo and be like, and then go over the pole. Dude's just gonna be there with his head down in the water, floating up. Anyways, the thing about MrBallen, you can't, you really can't tell who, at least that I found, right? Because, I've watched a decent amount of MrBallen, but I haven't watched, every single one of his videos or anything like that. I wouldn't call myself, a super fan or anything like that. You can't tell who is gonna be the person that gets messed up in the story, Greenish, no spoilers. Oh my god.
Took selfie style in the pool with all of his friends together.
Yeah, really painting a picture, a good picture.
And so he opens that picture up and he looks at it and he smiles because it definitely was the best picture he took. He got all his buddies in frame. Everybody seemed so happy. But as Sanjay was looking at this photo, he realized there was something odd about it. There was just something in this photo that just seemed like it shouldn't be. And as he looked more closely at it, the smile on his face faded and he began to panic.
Dude hit one of these.
A little bit. He didn't know if what he was looking at was real or not, but he knew he had to go find out. And so Sanjay put his phone away and he looked up and began looking around outside the temple at all the other people who had left, and many of them included his friends. And they were walking around, talking in groups or whatever. And Sanjay, he began looking at all of his friends and he would stare at their faces. He was looking for something, but he didn't see what he was looking for. And so after scanning the entire outside and not feeling satisfied, Sanjay got up and speed walked back into the temple and began going into each and every room, looking at every single person he encountered. And when he would find one of his friends, he would stare at their face. And when he didn't find what he was looking for, he just kept on going to every single room until finally he reached the last room of the temple and he found the last of his friends and he looked at their faces and still he did not see what he was looking for. And so now Sanjay is truly panicked. He's actually horrified at this point. He runs back outside and he finds their college professor who had come along to sort of chaperone the trip. And he ran up to this professor and he pulled out his phone. He opened up that photo of them in the pool and he showed the professor what he had found. And Sanjay pointed out the strange thing about this photo. And so the professor, he began looking at the photo too, and right away, he also could see this very strange thing that seemed very out of place.
MrBallen, Mr. Ballen is got us gooning, chat. He's got us on edge, bro. We're edging. We're getting edged, bro. We're getting edged by MrBallen. MrBallen is, we should call him Mr. Edge, okay, bro? Tell me what it is. Spit it out. Stop. I know you're a good storyteller, but knock it off, dude. I need to know right now. What happened? What are they doing? Don't pause, you yapper. Land the plane. Chris, if we ever go swimming and you take a photo and notice I'm not there after like an hour, I will haunt you. This man was done dirty. Nobody noticed him. Yeah, dude. This is what you get for being the quiet kid, dude.
And so the professor asked Sanjay a few follow-up questions, about like what Sanjay had done since discovering this. And after Sanjay said, I've been all over the temple, I still can't figure it out. And so the professor knew the police would have to get involved. And so the professor got in touch with police, and so the police came out to the temple not long after that. And the students, so Sanjay and all of his friends, had been instructed to stay right by the temple. Do not go down to the pool, stay up here, let the police handle it. And so when the police came in, they came running by the group, and Sanjay and his friends were just kind of watching anxiously, waiting to see what happens. And then as the officers went down to the pool, from where Sanjay and his friends were standing, they actually did not have a clear view. The temple itself blocked their view, so they could not see the pool, but they could hear what the officers were doing. And at first, as Sanjay and his friends are standing there really nervously, they don't hear anything down at the pool. But then they hear one of the officers shout something out, like he's found something, and then Sanjay and his friends heard all this splashing as clearly officers were jumping into the pool. And it was at this moment, when Sanjay heard that splashing, that he knew the thing he saw in this photo, it had to be real. As horrible as that was, it had to be real. The reason why Sanjay's friend, Vishwas, was not in the water with everybody else,
he couldn't swim.
Why he was up reading that plaque about the history of this pool, was because Vishwas did not know how to swim, but he didn't tell anyone. Nobody knew this. And so he was probably kind of embarrassed about it. And so maybe...
See, chat, and this is why two things. One, you don't make fun of your friends for fucking dumb shit like not being able to fucking swim. And two, you flip and communicate, even if they're mean, okay? And then you don't hang out with them, okay? Even if they're mean, you still communicate. And then if you're like, they make fun of me all the time because I'm like, oh yeah, dude, I can't swim. Oh yeah, dude. Oh, I'm like, oh, they made fun of me because I'm allergic to like, I don't know, peanuts, like, dude, I'm not going to associate with them anymore. Not, oh yeah, I just won't communicate that I can't swim when I'm about to dive into this pool of water because I don't want to get made fun of. Bro, poor dude, man. I mean, I feel it, dude. Listen. If I didn't go through my whole life being ridiculed for not knowing how to ride a bike, I'd probably be in the same predicament, you know what I'm saying? Just kidding. I learned how to ride a bike when I was like 11, okay? But it was like my formative years of people be like, you don't know how to ride a bike? Look at this kid. He can't eat peanut butter and jelly. Ah! Chris, don't Chris me.
Maybe was reading this plaque as sort of a way to, act distracted, like the plaque is the reason
he's
not swimming. But then when Sanjay, who meant no harm by this, but he yelled out to Vishwas, hey, come on, dude, get in here. Come swimming with us. Because he did it so publicly in front of all the other friends, it seems like Vishwas felt very pressured into getting into the water. And that's what he did. Instead of telling anybody that he could not swim, he just kind of shrugged, took off his shirt, pulled his phone out of his
There wasn't one person there that he could have been like, he couldn't have like went to him and been like, hey, by the way, I don't know how to swim. Like to them, he couldn't have done that.
pocket, put it on the ground, and waded into the water. And as soon as he did, the entire group just kind of went back to goofing around and splashing and being totally chaotic. And then when Sanjay was like, hey, let's take that photo, he really did manage to get all of his friends in frame somehow. Except one of them was Vishwas, and you can only see the top of his head. It's because he was drowning in the background of that photo, just nobody knew it. And so obviously an hour later, when Sanjay's looking at this photo, he sees the top of Vishwas's head, and he's like, wait a minute, is he goofing around or is he drowning? And then he ran all around the
same, Sarah, same.
temple looking for Vishwas. He wanted to prove that he was not in the pool still, that he was up here. But then after searching the entire area and not finding Vishwas, he went to his professor, they called the police, and the discovery was made. And unfortunately, by the time police pulled Vishwas out of the water, he was already deceased.
See, Chad, and this is why you don't peer pressure people, okay, into doing dumb shit, okay? Especially not swimming in a religious temple, okay, dude? No disrespect to these guys, but they are the most unself-aware people on the planet Earth. Yeah, bro, how are you so distracted by what you're doing that you don't notice that one of your friends is fucking drowning? Even if there's like 20 of y'all. I'm noticing within like 10 minutes at most, probably like 5, right? And if they had noticed within 5 minutes, they probably could have gave him CPR and there would have been a chance of him making it, you know? Not an hour and a half later, after dudes went through the entire temple, you know? After he's like, yeah, it was fun in the temple, fucking staring at the walls for 45 minutes. Oh, hey, where'd my boy Vishwash go? Not even where'd my boy Vishwash go, right? Wait, oh yeah, I'm gonna look through my photos. Yo, where's Vishwash? Oh my god, dude. Where'd he go? Like, bro, even when I was like 12 years old, going to like homeschool group events, you know, I was aware of everyone there and was aware of somebody. I'd be like, yo, mom, where'd so-and-so go? She'd be like, oh yeah, they left. I'd be like, oh, where? Christ has risen. He has risen indeed. Yo, what's up, Vinny? How's it going, bro? To be fair, when I was 7, I almost drowned and no one noticed. They didn't even notice me crying afterwards. What? I'm sorry, Sorrow. Shout out to the Chuckle Sandwich podcast. Sup, brother? Yo, real as fuck. I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going on. Well, we're at the top of a story here, Purple, so you can tap in if you want.
Late on the morning of June 27th, 1957, a 25-year-old Austrian mountain climber named Kurt Diemberger plunged his ice axe into the deep snow ahead of him and then used the axe to pull himself up and over a big ice clump. Kurt was totally physically and mentally exhausted by this point and only wanted to stop for like 2 seconds just to catch his breath. But he knew that was just not an option. Kurt and his climbing partner, a 32-year-old man named Herman Buell, were climbing one of the tallest mountains in the world called Chogolisa.
Damn, bro, this photo icy as hell. Dude really said, yo, let me take a flick real quick. Then took one of the hardest photos I've ever seen. What the hell, man?
Which is located in northern Pakistan. And they were doing this climb all alone. It was just those two, and they had virtually no safety equipment. Now, for reference, this was not normal. Anybody who climbed Chogolisa did so with Sherpas and guides and oxygen masks. I mean, this was a dangerous climb, and so serious measures had to be taken to ensure it was safe. But Kurt and Herman felt like, that takes all the fun out of mountain climbing. You know, there has to be, like real risk here for this to be worth doing. And also, critically, Kurt and Herman were well aware of the fact that if they successfully climbed Chogolisa with no safety equipment, so what they were planning to do, that would be a new world record because nobody had ever done that before on this mountain. And so that felt like a really cool reason to go for this. And when they began their journey a few days earlier, when they began the climb, it had still felt like a great idea because the weather forecast was perfect for the rest of the time they expected to be on the mountain. However, earlier that morning, Kurt had turned around to talk to Herman, and he noticed off to the south was a kind of ominous dark cloud making its way toward them. Now, obviously, when you're on the ground and you...
Darkoom, what's up, bro? Sorry, the MrBallen, sorry. Kind of talked over the TTS. How's it going, bro? Welcome in, brother. Thank you for the biddies. I boosted that, by the way, in case anybody else does any text-to-speech or sound effects.
You look up and you see a dark cloud.
I'm sorry, by the way,
think,
Purple.
Okay, it might storm, or it's actively storming. You know, maybe it's rain, maybe it's snow, but you know, it's probably not a big deal unless it's like a tsunami or a hurricane or something. But dark clouds are just not really a big deal. But when you are 4 miles up one of the most treacherous mountains in the world, you got no other people with you, you got no safety equipment, and you see a dark cloud coming your way, yeah, that's terrifying. Because storms have been killing mountain climbers basically for as long as mountain climbing has been a thing. And so when Kurt and Herman saw this cloud, even though the weather forecast had been good, they knew that there was a real chance a storm was going to hit them before they reached the summit. And so they had to make a choice. Abort the mission now, go back to camp, and potentially give up on this climb altogether, thereby not getting the world record. Or they could risk it and just try to speed their way up to the summit before the storm arrived. And because Kurt and Herman were actually within about 1,000 feet to the summit when Kurt noticed this dark cloud, they decided, you know what, let's just risk it. We can get up there to the summit, get this thing done before this cloud ever gets to us.
And now they're in a MrBallen story, okay? So we see how that flippin' went, dude. Sorry, dude. I've been trying to say fuck less whenever we watch MrBallen because, well, I mean, one, in general, I've just been trying to say fuck a little less. I realized yesterday that I have no way of communicating my excitement for things without saying swear words, right? Because I was at this show and a bunch of the bands were like Christian metalcore bands, and I was like, oh, let me try not to cuss as much here. And then I realized that I had no way of like hyping like anything up without being like, hell yeah, fuck yeah, you know. And also, YouTube commenters are not a fan of me saying the F word during MrBallen, so I've tried to cut it back a little bit, at least just for those YouTube viewers, so that they can get the midway point ad, you know. Before they get upset with me. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I mean, I am serious. I tried to cut it back a little bit for MrBallen enjoyers that watch this video, but also try not to censor myself so much that if I think it's funny and it needs to have the F word in it, that I, you know, still say fuck. Pretty good, just tired as fuck. Not used to being up at 5 a.m. for work since I'm a night shifter. Oh, shit, dude. How was that? Being awake in the daytime. I feel that, bro. That's how I be. Whenever somebody's like, yeah, can we like do a shoot at like 10 a.m.? I'm like, brother, yeah, I'll just pull an all-nighter. Like, dude, there's no way. I'm on those streamer sleep hours. And what have we learned? Don't be ambitious, stay at home. Yeah, the guy, they can't recover from the area because he's in the snow in a really precarious area. Dude, that's the thing. Like, there's so many people that have died going, like, just climbing Mount Everest, right? That's, you know, in all, like, they can't even recover the bodies, right? Isn't that, like, a whole thing? Like, there's literally, you see dead bodies going up to Mount Everest. But, yeah, I would say, you know, obviously, all jokes aside, you know, push yourself, get out of your comfort zone a little. Maybe don't climb a mountain when everything is saying that you shouldn't, you know? Like, oh, everyone takes safety gear and oxygen masks and like all this stuff. We're doing it anyways. Oh, and there's a dark cloud overhead that looks like it could kill us. You know, maybe that's when you go, you know what? We already defined a bunch of stuff. Maybe we won't risk it one last time and die to this horrible storm that's going to come through. I just found, so I was in Garden of Ban 7. I can't spell, don't mind me. Yo, was he? I might have to actually buy that game now. Didn't it just come out too? It's weird my body don't sleep till 2 a.m., so I didn't really sleep either. I'm sorry, bro. Chris saying the F word at least 15 times in 6 minutes when he said he was cutting back. Yo. Yeah. Like, genuinely, I think this is one of the ones I watched in a video about, like, bodies they can never lay to rest. Greenish. I'm never taking you to a movie that you've seen. Okay, buddy? Yeah, I'm never watching a movie with you that you've seen. I saw Fusion play it. Ooh, what did Fusion think of it? Okay, and? MrBallen's like not even halfway through the story. Greenish is like, dude, so in this story, what happened was...
And so that was the decision they made, and it was also why Kurt and Herman knew there was no way they could slow down even for a second, because basically this was a sprint to the top, and if they slowed down, they might die. And so, panting and exhausted with the wind whipping up like mad, Kurt and Herman just kept moving up that mountain as fast as they possibly could. But when they got about maybe 500 feet away from the summit, so they're really close at this point, something changed. As Kurt was about to bring his axe back down into the snow to, pull himself up one more step, he suddenly realized he couldn't see the mountain in front of him. Like there was nothing. It was just pure white all around him. He couldn't even see the sky. It was like he was just in this void all of a sudden. And the reason for this is because that dark cloud had caught up to them. They were literally inside of the cloud. That's why they couldn't see anything. And so from behind Kurt, even though he can't see anything, he could hear Herman desperately screaming up to him, "Hey, we've got to turn around right now!" And Kurt obviously knew, yeah, it's too late. We are not going to make the summit. We got to go. Kurt knew Herman was right. I mean, this is an absolute crisis. If the storm that's basically brewing all around them didn't kill them.
Spoiler alert. They got too cold, so Herman had to insert his penis into the other guy's butt. Yeah, so spoiler alert. Yeah, so just want to let you guys know, before we get there. I love clouds. I wish I could be in one. Spoilers, guys. A Yeti eats the man off a cliff at a plane. I want to be a cloud just so I can rain on people? What? Like, he's actually hacking it to find secrets about the next one. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I might have to tap in on Band 7, give it another chance since the last one I played, I'm pretty sure it was 3.
Certainly the result of the storm would. I mean, all the snow that's going to land is going to fill in their tracks, and it would be nearly impossible to find your way back down again. And so this was like, we totally miscalculated, turn around and get out of here as fast as possible. And so that's what Kurt and Herman began to do. As fast as they could, they began going down the mountain, following along their tracks they had left on the way up. And pretty quickly, Kurt and Herman began making serious progress. And so Kurt was starting to feel optimistic that, maybe they had managed to escape this just in time. But right at that moment, the ground underneath Kurt began to vibrate. Then Kurt looked down, and even though his visibility was basically nothing, he could tell from his legs that the ground was basically shifting underneath him. And then suddenly Kurt felt this feeling that you get when you're on like a carnival ride and you're dropped, that feeling in your stomach that you're falling. He got that because the ground underneath him just gave way. It was an avalanche. And so in absolute desperation, Kurt, who knows he's about to be sucked into an avalanche, he just jumped like as far away from the mountain as he possibly could, kind of at an angle to the right, like he was leaping up and out of the avalanche and over to the right. But you got to remember, he's on this really steep slope. This is not like jumping on flat ground where you jump up and just return to where you jumped from. He's on a slope. So when he jumped out and to the right, it was like he was jumping off a building. He fell something like 30 or so feet before he hit the ground again. But when Kurt hit the ground, he kind of expected to be gobbled up by the snow and keep being sucked down the mountain, but he wasn't. He hit the ground and didn't move. And then he kind of sat up and he looked around and he realized he had successfully jumped out of the avalanche.
No flippin' way, bro. Dude successfully avoided an avalanche by saying, "Nah, I'm good." He pulled a just cause, bro. He really was like, yeah, I'm gonna flippin' jump in a certain direction and just avoid this, bro. Ooh. Just Cause, like the game. Does anyone remember? I need to play Just Cause on stream. Anyways, L-Streamer, JK. Yo, what? Dude. Is it gay if it's for survival? No, dude, no, it's not. Touch up on the homie's cock to get his heart racing, when you need him to. His player rolled a nat 20 def. Yeah, dude, yeah. Yeah, he jumped, and it pulled up the fucking D&D Baldur's Gate little mini game where you gotta roll the dice. He didn't roll a 20, dude. He had like a plus like 2 on there for like experience, like a plus 3 for endurance. He had a companion, so he got a boost from them. He got like a 4. He rolled like a 28 when he needed a 20. The avalanche didn't have his consent. Yeah, dude said, no.
He had done it. He saved himself. And so he began looking around. You know, the visibility is still terrible.
His boy's cooked. I mean, let's be real here. His boy is done. Like, he's not alive. He got sucked up in the avalanche.
But it's a little bit better because now the avalanche has basically gone down the mountain. You know, the storm is kind of passing, and so the visibility is decent. And, you know, Kurt, he's looking around, screaming out for Herman. He doesn't see him. And then it's like suddenly the visibility just opened up, and Kurt was able to look to his left where the avalanche had gone. And as he was looking, he saw what looked impossible. Basically, the land where they had been walking down this mountain was gone. It was like the avalanche had removed that part of the mountain. And so Kurt is basically laying in the snow on the edge of a new cliff where the avalanche had basically broken away the mountain. And so he's looking into this crevasse where the avalanche went and thinking, I can't believe how lucky I am, but I gotta go find Herman. And so Kurt stands up, and he's pretty battered from this 30-foot fall, but he's got adrenaline pumping through him, so he feels pretty good. And he scrambles his way 30 feet back up the mountain to this ridgeline where he originally jumped out of the avalanche, you know, hoping when he got up there that he might find some sign of where Herman went to, because they were pretty close together when the avalanche started. But when he got up there was no sign of Herman, and, you know, he turned around and looked back down the mountain, and he couldn't see Herman anywhere. But when he turned back around, looking now back up the mountain, so in the direction of where they had originally intended to hike, and then where they had to come back down from when they were in the cloud, he noticed that he could see very easily their tracks, he and Herman's tracks. And so with his eyes, he just kind of...
Isn't this the intro to Red Dead 2?
tracked these tracks all the way down the mountain to where he was, and as he did this, he noticed something.
Uh-oh.
At first, it was like his brain couldn't compute what he was seeing. But after a moment, he knew. Here is a photo of what Kurt would have seen. However, keep in mind, this was not a photo Kurt took, and it's also from a slightly farther away perspective. But conceptually, this really is what Kurt saw that told him what happened to Herman. So in this photo, you can see the mountain and the summit's at the top, and there's a trail that goes straight down and then appears to diverge, where there's tracks that go to the left from our perspective, the viewer's perspective. They go to the left around that cliff line, and the other set of footprints that disappear off the cliff. Well, if you haven't figured it out yet, the footprints that go to the left are Kurt's footprints. He just magically jumped and landed on the absolute edge of where this avalanche was going to happen, and Herman is the other set of prints. And so when that avalanche started, there was nowhere for Herman to go, and he was sucked into that avalanche and dragged over 1,000 feet down the mountain, and his body was never recovered. Hey everybody, if you haven't heard yet...
Yo, MrBallen! Okay, dude, you could put a little more of a... MrBallen, get on your editor, okay? Tell him to put like at least another second there, dude. Dude's like, yeah, bro, dude, I gotta watch this again.
There was nowhere for Herman to go, and he was sucked into that avalanche and dragged over 1,000 feet down the mountain, and his body was never recovered. Hey everybody.
MrBallen jump scare! Dude, oh my god. He got cucked. Subscribe to join my gift card giveaway. Bro, I can't believe that. Bro, that's great. What a crazy story, bro. What an absolutely crazy story. Dude literally hit the... He literally was playing that Call of Duty mission, but without the rope, bro. That's crazy. Like, the odds stacked against him there. Bro, insane. I'm dumbfounded.
If you haven't heard yet, we announced some really big news recently. We are putting out a book. And
Oh,
it's
yeah,
amazing.
dude.
It's called MrBallen Presents Strange, Dark, and Mysterious, The Graphic Stories. And it's an amazing graphic novel we have been working on for over a year. And it's our very first book, so we're all very proud of this. We think it's going to be so amazing. So in this book, there are 9 stories, 5 of which are of the old variety, so you've heard them on YouTube, and they've been remastered and put into this book. And then you have 4 full-length, brand new stories, which are amazing, that have also been put inside of this book. And the way we made those 4 new stories is to have them replicate the feel of YouTube. In fact, I would say this whole book is like the written version of our YouTube channel. It's totally a throwback to our OG fans who found us on YouTube. This is the book for you. It's going to be so good. The book's not coming out until my birthday, October 1st, but you can pre-order it right now by going to book.ballenstudios.com. And also, after you pre-order, be sure to follow me on social media and all the other places that we put out content, because we're going to be teasing stuff about this book before release. Things like, sneak peeks into the book and some pieces of artwork and some behind the scenes stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but it all starts with pre-ordering that book. So again, go to book.ballenstudios.com and pre-order our first ever official book. It's going to be great. Enjoy. So that's going to do it. If you enjoyed today's stories and you want to hear more like it, be sure to check out the MrBallen podcast, which is available on all podcast platforms. It has hundreds of stories, and many of them are only available on podcast. So if you're consuming this content only on YouTube, there is a whole world over in the podcast side of the house that you should go check out. Again, it's called the MrBallen podcast, and it's available everywhere.
Thank God the MrBallen podcast is available everywhere. Now I have to tap in on that, dude, because I've been taking road trips and stuff. I don't have anything. I mean, like, when I go on road trips, it's either I'm going to listen to music, listen to like The Yard or TMG, which usually I listen to like as soon as they come out, or listen to like self-help stuff. And most of the time, whenever I'm trying to listen to self-help stuff, I like try and have my like brain as active as possible to hear it all. But sometimes I don't listen to them at all just because I'm like, I'm sleepy right now. I need something to keep me awake. So I think MrBallen podcast would be sick. Even if it's not him. Does anyone know? Has anyone listened to it? Just play your Switch on a road trip? Duh. Oh, yeah, you're right. My bad. Sorrow, I think you should slay tomorrow. Also, Josh, yeah, dude, I couldn't imagine being stuck under the snow, bro. I could not imagine. That must be horrifying. Especially since, like, you're aware of it, right? And you literally cannot move or do anything. Oh, this was pinned by MrBallen. My mom passed away in a car accident 2 weeks ago. Today being Mother's Day, making the suffering even worse. I pulled up YouTube, forgot what day it was, saw a new MrBallen, and I smiled for the first time in 2 weeks. Thank you, MrBallen. Aw. Did MrBallen say anything? That is awesome. Imagine being so ashamed of something like not knowing how to swim that you end up giving up your life to show you are normal like everyone else. So sad. We really need to be more open with each other and not shame or make fun of others. We should feel comfortable and safe among friends. Rip Vishwa. Yeah, real, bro. Honestly, don't give a shite about me inconveniencing others. Lockout/tag out is in place for a reason. My life over your convenience. Y'all can wait. That is very, 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 very true. Okay. I worked for Kroger in a processing plant several years ago. It was my first plant job. One of the most memorable things about that job was was how much training we did on LOTO, lockout, tag out procedures. We signed countless documents promising we would always follow safety protocols at the time. I cannot express to anyone working in the field how crucial it is to please always follow LOTO procedures. The safety of you and your colleagues is more important than getting it done faster. Or in the first story's case, not interrupting the flow of traffic. You are not replaceable, and your life is more valuable than the loss of time or how others may feel about being hindered. Please LOTO and communicate with your colleagues for your safety. Shout out to Kroger for understanding people's lives and well-being are the most important thing. Yeah, dude, without a doubt, bro. Like, so what if somebody has to go up some stairs or wait a second for an elevator? Like, your life is worth way more than that. I've done all the things that you've told me to the like button, and now it has filed a restraining order against me. Love you, brother. Love you, brother. I bet having to clean up Jesse's dead body was way more of a hassle than just shutting down the elevator for a few minutes. That is true. That is definitely true. Getting crushed alive and seeing all the blood dropped must have been beyond terrifying. I went a few years back to a cruise ship, And on the last day, a group of people got stuck for, I believe, an hour in the elevator. It's just is it catastrophic nightmare? Oh, claustrophobic nightmare. Catastrophic nightmare. What am I saying, dude? Being crushed to death is one thing, but the slow ascent knowing you're going to be crushed makes it 100 times worse. What a terrible way to die. Couldn't dude have, like, banged on the thing and been like, stop the elevator! Something like that? Oh, they're remaking Resident Evil 1? Oh, shit. Shut the fuck up. Stop honking. I'm trying to catch a Pokemon.